Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are painting more wildflowers, so let's jump right in. Okay, so today we are painting a new round of 6 little wildflowers. I picked smaller little ones, and we're just gonna have fun with it. So we are gonna start off up here with Queen Anne's lace. And this one I find it can be a little bit tricky because it's white and the little flowers are just so small. But we're gonna try our best and see what happens. I actually haven't painted this before, so I'm just gonna take this black here and I'm just gonna wash off my brush and I'm just gonna take the smallest little bit, like honestly, the lightest wash possible. And I am going to just start by doing these small little dots with the tip of my brush, like so, okay? And it's almost like a half a dome. I don't know how to explain it. It's a little odd. And like that, just keep going. And it should be really, really light, leaving white space in between those little dots, okay? You don't want it to be all clumped together. Like that. Okay, there's one little bit of the flower. I'm gonna grab a little bit, started mixing with green a little bit there, and then we'll do one over here. So again, just little dots, the tip of your brush, really light pressure. Okay, and with any light or white flower, you just wanna have a really light wash of almost any tone. I like doing grays or blues usually, but I mean, any white flower can have an undertone of a pink if it's next to a pink flower or whatever. So just make it a really, really light wash. And let's do another little one over here. Okay, there we go. Now it doesn't look like anything, but we're gonna take our sap green color now. Now the trick with smaller little flowers, you don't want to overwhelm that white part. So make sure that your brush isn't dripping with paint and water, okay? I'm actually going to mix a bit of brown for the first initial stem, for the big stem that comes up to these flowers. So I'm going to start, and it's like a green brown stem like this. And then I'm going to stop there underneath, because then we're going to have the little stems to each of the flowers. Okay, and then do another one, stop right underneath, give a little bit of space. Ooh, it was a little bit thicker than I wanted. And then again to this one. Okay, now I'm gonna wash off my brush and I'm gonna grab just sap green. Again, not too much. You can even add a little bit of yellow, so it's more of a yellowy green. And you're just gonna connect little tiny stems, and you can let some of them bleed into that whitish grayish mixture. So it bleeds just the tiniest bit. And that's also why you wanna make sure you have not a lot of paint on your brush so it doesn't overwhelm it. But if the little bits of gray are already dry, that's okay too. Like that. Okay, and if you want to grab a little bit of darker green, go at the base here, just add a bit of darker green under there. You can just add a little bit of greenery, just tap a little bit in it if it's still wet to some of those bits, like that. Go along the stem a bit, make it a bit darker if you like. There you go. And then I also might go back in and add a little bit more of the darker black part. So just a little bit, just to the underside of some of those bits, just to get a bit more shadow in there. I know white flowers can be a little bit difficult to do. They're hard to see, right? But just try your best. Like that, okay? And there you go, there's Queen Anne's lace. It's not the most beautiful wildflower, but it's out there. Okay, so the next one we are going to do is, we're just gonna do some berries, okay? So I am going to make a peachy color. Which I already have right here, and I think I used permanent rose and some cadmium yellow. And I'm just gonna start by creating little tiny berries. You can leave a little bit of white space in them for a bit of a highlight if you like. Just gonna mop it up a bit. It's a bit too wet. Excuse me. You're just doing some circles like that. I'm gonna grab a bit more permanent rose, make some of them a bit more pinky. So contrast is good, make some darker, some lighter. Okay. Some more peachy. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to add a bit of brown, so I'm just going to take some burnt umber here. Put it on my palette. And I'm just going to create the initial stem coming up the middle, like so. Maybe a bit darker. Okay, so here's my stem. And then it's just gonna connect slightly to some of these berries, okay? So, well, to all the berries essentially. But you're just gonna use the tip of your brush and just slightly connect all of the berries. And if some of the berries are still wet and the stem bleeds a little bit into the berries, that's okay too. I kind of like that look, but it's totally up to you if you want to wait till it's completely dry. Okay, and just connect those berries to the stems like that. And then you can even do little dots in some of the berries too to create that little end bit. Some of them have that. Like that. And then I'm going to create some extra stems like this. Okay, and those are going to have some greenery on them. So I'm just going to take my sap green that I already have here, and I'm just going to do some small little leaves coming off of them. Like that, wherever you think a little leaf would look good. Like that, okay? And there are your berries. Okay, so the next one we are going to do is called, now I hope I pronounce it right, Astilbe, I don't know, don't quote what I'm saying, okay? And we're gonna start off with a pink. So I'm gonna grab this pink I already have here, just a bit more permanent rose, just throw it in there. And I'm gonna create a light wash of it. And I'm gonna start off with a stem, okay? Like this. And then I'm gonna do little stems coming off it in the pink. Like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little light wash of my green here, and I'm just gonna do the tiniest little buds coming off of these stems, especially just the tips, okay? Just the tips of these ones, and then it's like slightly gonna move into a pink color. Okay, so now you can grab your pink, and you're just going to do these little buds coming off of these stems. just little dots. It's very easy. I don't know if you can hear the wind outside my window. It is such a windy day. Still waiting for spring here, guys, in Canada. It is almost the end of April and we are still having crazy, unenjoyable weather. Not always, but it's not nice enough to go outside for a long period of time, especially today. Okay, like that. Just keep adding those little tiny buds coming off of this thing and through the center. Like that. Then I'm gonna grab my green again and I might drag it a little bit through the center just to get a little bit of green in there. And then that stem is gonna move into a green color. Okay, like this. I'm gonna add a little bit more green in there. And then we're gonna have another stem come over here, and this is where our leaves are gonna come from. So I'm gonna have little stems like this, maybe on this side too. And then we're just gonna have these leaf shapes, and they're a bit jagged, these leaves. You can just jag up the edges a bit. Some smaller ones, some bigger ones. Jag it up those edges a bit. And then I'm gonna grab some darker green. So I just have some darker green in my palette already. You can use Hooker's Green Dark, whatever green you have. And I'm just gonna touch the base of some of these leaves, just to create a little bit of shadow at the base. Like that. Okay, and there is your Astilbe. I don't know what it's called. Okay, so there are our first three. They're like wildflowers. Some of them are like fillers, whatever. Okay, now the next one we are going to do is a good old buttercup. Okay, so buttercups are yellow. So I'm gonna grab my cadmium yellow here and I'm gonna just water it down a bit. And these ones are easy and cute, and there's just 5 petals. Yeah, 5 petals. So we'll do one that's a bit more open. So let's do 1, I have a hair on my brush, 2, 3, 4, just make it rough. Don't worry about too much about the shape. 5, okay? Very simple, easy little flower. Then I'm gonna take a darker yellow. So I have my yellow ochre here. Try not to take too much paint or water on your brush. You don't want it to bleed into the whole thing, but I'm just gonna tap the middle a bit and just let it bleed a bit. Like that, okay? Okay, let's do another one. And if you want, you can add a bit more yellow to the tips of these, like that. Okay, so let's do another one. Maybe this one is a side view, so we'll just have the petal coming up this way, petal coming up this way, and one behind. Honestly, don't worry too much about the shape. It's all good, however you want to do it. Grab your darker yellow and then just hit the base behind this flower, like that. And then let's do one more like this, and we'll just do kind of like an open one. So we'll have a long petal there, long petal there, long petal there, and then we'll do 2 little short petals. So it's like it's on an angle. So we're barely seeing those. Okay, then grab your, again, your dark yellow, do little dots in the middle and let it bleed into some of those petals. Okay, grabbing my cadmium yellow again, just making the tips a bit darker. Like that. Okay, now you're gonna grab your green while it's still wet, hopefully. And again, not too much. You don't want it to bleed into the whole yellow flower. And you're just gonna have the stem coming from the center of the flower. This one's already dry, so it's not gonna bleed in there. And then this one come like that, and they can all connect. And you're just gonna bring it down. Okay. There you go. And then we're gonna create maybe some that are little buds that haven't bloomed yet, and they're like these little circular shaped buds like that. You can have one there, one there. You can even grab the tiniest bit of yellow and just pop it through the top a bit. Okay. And then they have these little spiky kind of leaves that come out from it too. So especially from where some of the stems meet, just do like little spiky little leaves like that. I might get a bit darker at the base of these little buds. Just the littlest little bit, I know I make so much sense, I'm sorry. The littlest touch of like a shadow can kind of really make a flower pop. Like that. And there you have your little buttercups. Now, once it's dry, if you want to do a bit more detail in the center, we can come back and do that really quickly. But for now, I'm just going to let it dry. Okay, the next one we're going to do are asters. And they are cute little purple flowers with yellow centers. So I'm just going to take my mauve color here. And it's a bit darker than I'd like, so I'm going to mix a bit of permanent rose just to make it on the pinky side. Too dark. A bit more mauve. Nope, that's not the color I want either. I'm going to take some cobalt blue and mix it in there. Yeah, that's the color I'm going for. This kind of purple. Okay. A bit more pink, I think. Okay, so there we go. We have our purple. And these ones have the tiniest little petals. These are such small flowers too, and they're almost like little spiky petals. So I'm just going to go around in a circle with lines like this. Okay, imagine your center here. If you want to do a really, really light sketch of a center, you can do that. And I'm going to have longer petals on this side and shorter on this side, so it looks like it's on a bit of an angle. Okay, and I'm just going to get shorter as we move around here. And you're just doing these little line petals like that. Okay, let's make them a bit longer. Okay, so there's one. Let's even create a lighter wash of this one. Okay, we'll do another one. Let's, you know what, I'm just gonna outline with purple the center. It'll just be a bit easier. Okay, and then I'm gonna do maybe shorter ones this way. Oh my goodness, that wind is crazy. This, you're just doing these little spiky little petals almost. Okay, like that. I'm gonna go back in with a bit more darker pigment just around the center like that. Darken it up a bit, okay? And then I'm gonna do one more light wash, and this one is gonna be pointing up a bit more. So I'm gonna do the center, really, really light wash just to kind of have a guideline. I'm gonna do some petals facing up. And then there's gonna be some of these petals on this side going over that center just a little, and we'll put some yellow in there behind it once it's all dry. Like that. Grab a bit more of the darker pigment. Like that. And then we're gonna do one more that's just a bud that hasn't really bloomed yet. And they're really odd. They're like these spiky little balls almost. So I'm just gonna do like, with lines, a little ball shape kind of, and then have these little lines coming off of it like this. Okay, go back in, some more pigment. This one too, I think. Holy wind, Batman. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna grab my green for my stem. Actually, no, it's more of a darker green. So I'm gonna grab some dioxazine purple and some Hooker's green dark for these stems. Like that. And actually, sorry, before we do that, there's a bit of a lighter green. So I'm gonna grab my sap green, and they have these little like spiky bits underneath. So I'm just gonna grab my sap green and just do some detail like that if you can. Just a little bit of greenery coming out like that. Okay, and then you can grab your darker green and you're just gonna do your stem. I'm gonna grab a bit more purple in that darker green. There we go. And then you can connect them too. So this will come up here. Maybe this one's connected to this one. Maybe they're all connected. I don't know. We can even do one over here. And then you can do these little leaves coming off of these stems like this. Okay? Like that. And there's your aster, except for the center part. I'm gonna come back and make sure it's fully dry before we do the center of this one because it's yellow and I don't want it to bleed. Okay, so the last flower that we are going to do are forget-me-nots. They're these really, really cute little blue flowers. So I'm gonna take some cobalt blue, and it's already mixed a little bit with a purple, which is totally fine. And I'm gonna take really light wash, and they have 5 petals with a yellow center. So these petals are a bit more, not longer, they're just like those perfect little petal shapes. So take a light wash, we'll do an open face one here. 1, 2, I'm gonna leave some white space in between the petals. 3, 4, and 5. I have a little bit of white in some of the petals too. I'm just leaving a little bit of white space like that, okay? I'm gonna do another one. Again, with light wash. These are the cutest little flowers. Like that, we'll do another. And I'm trying to do a lighter wash for these so I can go back in with a bit more darker pigment to give a bit more shadow. So now I'm gonna go back in and just tap where they would all kind of meet. Maybe I'll do this one a little bit darker. These are so cute. And they look like really like flat flowers almost. Okay. And then again, maybe I'll do a couple more. Some will be on an angle, so I'll do longer petals on this side. And then 2 short little petals there. Okay. Let's do it again. My son thinks it's nap time, so he's freaking out. You know, the usual toddler business. It's all good. Okay, so I won't subject you to the sound of the full tantrum, so I'm just going to do a voiceover. So now I am just going back into those petals and I'm adding some darker blue pigment to where they all kind of meet in the center, still leaving that white space for the yellow center that we're going to do after. And this just creates a bit of shadow. Just make sure your petals are still wet when you're doing that. And then I'm just grabbing some green, I think it's sap green, and I'm just doing one initial stem coming down the middle. And then I'm gonna have some other smaller stems branching off that middle one and just connecting to the base of each of the other flowers. And now I'm just gonna add some couple extra stems, and I'm gonna do some little buds with the same color on the edge of those stems. Let's see if the tantrum's over now. Okay, I guess it's not. So I continued to make these buds, and I think they're a little bit too dark. So at some point, I believe I go back with my paper towel and just dab them a bit so I can make them a little bit lighter. Do I do it? Yep, there it is. It's fun trying to do a voiceover when you don't really remember what you do. And I'm just, you know, adding a bit more pigment, make them a bit more even, and then I'm just adding a bit of darkness to the base of those buds. And then lastly, I'm just gonna go over the stem again, but with a bit more darker green, just to make it pop a little bit more. Okay, now that all of them are dry, we can do the centers. So I'm just gonna start back here with the forget-me-nots. I'm gonna grab some of my cadmium yellow, just a little bit, and I'm gonna go around the center. And they actually have a small dot in the middle of the center, so I'm gonna do that after. I'm just gonna lay down the yellow first, like that. Okay, and then we're gonna go for the asters. So I'm just gonna, again, take some cadmium yellow and I'm gonna place it in the center. Go behind some of these petals like that. Lay down that yellow. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back again. And then this one, just gonna take a bit more of that darker yellow, yellow ochre. And I'm gonna do just some really small, tiny dots in the center. Just make them a bit more detailed, like that. Okay. So now, once that's dry, I think these are dry, I'm just gonna take a little bit of the bluish purple mix, doesn't really matter what color it is, just darker than yellow. And I'm just gonna do a small little dot in the center of the yellow. Make sure it's dry first, like that. Okay, wash off your brush. And then, last but not least, the aster. I'm gonna take some darker yellow and I'm just gonna do a center here. Just do a little bit of darker yellow in the center. And then I might grab a bit more of that cadmium yellow and just do some darker yellow lines. It's kind of like a spiky center. Let's grab a bit more of that darker yellow ochre color. Like that. And that's it. And there you go. There are your little tiny cute wildflowers slash fillers. And I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.